Hey everyone, thanks for watching. In today's video, we're going to build a backyard axe throwing cage. This past year, my wife and I went to a couple of birthday parties, and at the restaurant, they actually had some axe throwing cages. Turns out it was really fun. When we got home, the wife suggested, hey, why don't you build an axe throwing cage in the backyard? You know what you do when your wife suggests you build an axe throwing cage in your backyard? Without hesitation, you immediately say yes. So that's what we're going to do. Stay tuned. And of course, I can't build anything normal. I have to improve on the idea. So I don't have a large backyard, and I'm a big proponent of conservation of space. So this axe cage, when not in use, is going to fold away and store and take up a little bit less space. And then on top of that, the target will be reversible, and I'll be able to flip it around and have like a tic-tac-toe target on one side and then the normal bullseye target on the other side using a nice little bearing and pipe system. So stay tuned. Thanks. All right, let's give you the lay of the land. Here's where the axe cage is going to live. The size of the target's going to be, or the size of the cage is going to be 16 feet long, 6 feet wide, and 10 feet high. You can already say I picked up some pressure treated wood, just a lot of 2x4s, some 16 footers, some 10 footers, some 8 footers. And then over here I picked up the 4x4s for the target. So I got pressure treated wood. Since it's going to live outside, I don't want it to rot. Hopefully it won't be a problem with stability. And then for the actual metal skin, the cage part, picked up some pretty tight metal mesh fence. I think the holes are maybe 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. So no axe. All right, now let's take a look at the hardware and supplies that we're going to need. Got some self-piercing lathe wood screws, a big chunk of like 2.5 and 3-inch wood screws, a couple of drills, tape measure, pocket hole. I've got a 90-degree alignment tool to kind of make sure that the beams are at 90 when I screw them together. A ton of wood glue for the target glue up. This is Type Bond 2, but I suggest using Type Bond 3, but I had a bunch of 2 on hand, so I'm going to use that first. I did get a lot of metal strap lashings. Since this cage is going to be on wheels and movable, there's going to be a lot of tension during that movement sometimes, so I wanted to reinforce the hinges and the contact points with these metal straps. I've got some 360-degree hinges for the roof, and then lastly, most importantly, some throwing devices. So here's a couple of pro tips. If you're doing a one-man job like me, you don't have any help, suggest pre-setting your screws ahead of time here and in your pocket holes. And another tip is, notice there's a problem when you try to join those two boards together, where you can probably get access and drill 2 screws in here. When you go to do this run, there to there, you won't have access on this side to screw it in at the same point. So the trick is to do one pocket hole and then drill just the top, and then you pivot it up, and I'll show you in a second. So once you got those 2 in, then you can pivot and get access to the underside, and then you can actually get this guy in as well. So here's the idea. In order for the axe throwing cage to collapse upon itself and fold away for better storage, I need to have the roof be able to hinge open and then hinge close on top of the box. In order for that rooftop to seat correctly on the walls, I'm going to use some dowels. I'm going to cut these off, mount them in the roof section so as it folds down on top, they kind of lock in to the sidewall. So I'm going to drill an accepting hole into the wall and then put the dowel on the roof sections that are going to fold on top and then fold back. Just before standing this guy up, I actually drilled some lag bolts into the cinder block to help kind of secure it on a temporary basis. So the weirdest thing happened when I came out the next day and the blocks were kind of in the sun. They were all popping like popcorn. And here's I'm trying to catch the sound here. It did this for like a day straight, non-stop popping. It seems as if like when you release the tension of cutting them into blocks and then the sun starts to dry them out more, they just start cracking like popcorn. It was hilarious. So now this might help explain kind of what I'm talking about when I'm sandwiching this piece of aluminum bar in between each of the target blocks. So this is the front, the end grain block. The axes are going to go here. And because the axes are going to be hitting here and there's no backing, it'll get blown out. The wood glue might not be enough. So we sliced in a little edges, and then we're going to take that aluminum bar, slide it in all the way across, and then glue these all together with a bar in the middle of it. So hopefully that adds a little extra support and life to the end of the target. if you're ever going to be doing like a assembly line and assembling like a ton of little items together like this, you know, I've got a couple hundred blocks to put together. Do yourself a favor, create a template and screw this template into this board. And that way you can just set up like an assembly line, get your next setup going, your bars, glue, your mallet, all your clamps. So you can just get them in order, clamp it, let the glue set for 30 to 40 minutes, and move on to the next one, the next one, and the next one. When you're using wood glue and you're doing something like this as well, you want to make sure that you're putting enough glue in that there's some squeeze out. So if you don't see squeeze out, either one, you're not putting enough glue on, or two, you're not clamping it with enough pressure. So make sure you get just enough so there's like a little bit of squeeze out, and you can clean it up later as well. And then the working time of this glue sets up pretty quick, especially in a hot sun. So make sure you've got your ducks in a row and you can get everything in place and clamped up in a matter of 5 minutes or less. So what you're looking at here is just half of the target. Those are both 2 feet by 2 feet, which I'm going to glue together to make a 4 by 2 half section target. So I still have to make another section like that. So stay tuned for part 2, where I'll be putting together all the target pivoting hardware, the hinges that'll make the cage collapse, and some LED lights, and the final product. Thanks for watching.